Let's talk a little bit about Beyond Good and Evil. What I'm here to discuss with you guys is you have to understand that 6 years ago, I did music. I did a lot of guitar work that ended up, or was supposed to end up, on Beyond Good and Evil 2. Whether or not that music is ever going to be heard in the game, well, I can't predict that, but I can tell you at least my history with working with Ubisoft and another company from another kind of famous actor. That famous actor being this guy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And Joseph has a company called HitRecord that partnered with Ubisoft in order to let fans of the game make music, art, or voice acting for the supposed Beyond Good and Evil 2 sequel/prequel. So things didn't quite work out for me the way that I expected them to when I started working on Beyond Good and Evil 2 for HitRecord. So HitRecord, during this whole process of their involvement with Ubisoft, were kind of accused of doing something that's a pretty shady tactic known in the freelance industry called Spec-Work. Now, of course, Joseph Gordon-Levitt has heavily declined the fact that his company is involved with any kind of spec work, and as he says here, that it's substantially different from spec work. But, well, I can tell you that, at least in my opinion, okay, that's not true. Again, spec work is basically you're doing a lot of work for somebody, for a company, for a boss, for freelance, and there is no guarantee, no matter how much work you put in, that you are going to get paid for the work that you do. Now, speaking for myself, I did get paid from HitRecord, okay, but it was only around $300+ for a lot of work that I did over the course of about 3 or 4 months working on Beyond Good and Evil 2. I didn't compose songs for the game, but I did basically guitar pieces for a lot of compositions that other artists and myself worked on together to make complete songs on, that eventually, supposedly, made it in the final drafts to be a part of Beyond Good and Evil 2. Basically, you know, when I worked on songs with other musicians that I collaborated with, those songs first had to be sent off to Ubisoft to be approved by them. And they had to listen, and they had to basically find out, okay, if it fit with the game, if it didn't fit with the game. And yeah, I was lucky enough to be a part of some songs with some other artists that had allegedly made it into the final drafts and been approved by Ubisoft to be a part of the game. My real big problem with not only just Ubisoft, but with HitRecord is the fact that they only allocated an amount of $50,000 split between 200-300 something people, which when you go down to the basis of it, it's not a lot of money. And the way that they split the money is something, at least in my opinion, I think was very unfair and very just strange. And okay, look, this is my biggest problem with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. This is my biggest problem with HitRecord, okay, is the fact that they paid some people pennies, okay, cents, literal cents, not even dollars, for some of the work that they did on that game, okay? It doesn't matter if it was a few seconds, it doesn't matter if it was a few minutes. You are devaluing people for their time and their effort putting music into a game. And it's not just any game, this is a Ubisoft game, okay? It was supposed to be a huge game, and even though it hasn't been released yet, or maybe it will never be released, the fact that HitRecord kind of did this very shady practice, in my opinion, again, of just allocating money very unevenly to voice actors, musicians like myself, and also graphic designers, is the biggest and most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life. I never had the chance to talk to Joseph Gordon-Levitt because, well, he was recording a movie for Netflix, when I basically tried to talk with some other employees at HitRecord and asked them, really, what's going on here? Like, why are you doing these things? Like, why do you... And this was before I was even paid, before anybody was paid for the finished product of, you know, the work that we did for the game. And, you know, he kind of gave me a little bit of an arrogant response, kind of telling me that, oh yeah, you know, like, what are you talking here about ethics and spec work? And we don't do spec work. Like, what are you talking about? You know, trying to be overly nice. And of course, You know, it just was very kind of a staged interview that they had with me. I think they were a little scared of me because they knew that I was one of the people that was speaking out against what they were doing. And yeah, you know, here I am talking about it again years later after 2018, because that's when I worked doing and recording music for the game. So yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I don't have respect for this guy. You know, it's like, dude, what are you doing? You know, you are a millionaire, you know, and you are devaluing people's work, hard work, you know. And again, freelance work, we may not be paid a lot of money, but for you to pay people literal cents, literal pennies for the work that they do for you, man, I don't know how you can keep a straight face and think that that's fine. Really, like, how do you sleep at night? My opinions, just my opinions. You can do what you want. I'm not telling you to work for HitRecord. I mean, do freelance work for them or not. But be aware of the consequences, because there are consequences and there are things within their terms of agreement that you should read long before you even consider signing up for HitRecord. I didn't do that, and I faced the consequences in the end. So, you know, you are not signing up for something where you are really guaranteed, okay, to get paid. HitRecord is a place where you, when you get involved in a project, okay, people have the ability, or at least they did back in 2018, to remix, okay, whatever project, whatever thing you upload to the website. And of course, in the terms of agreement, whatever, they tell you, okay, you give us the right to, no matter what you put here, it's basically, you know, belongs to us, and we can do what we want with it. And so can anybody else on the website. They can do anything that they want to with, you know, the music, the audio, the anything that you upload, whether it's a text, an image, audio, doesn't matter what it is. But that's the point. Once you do that, and in the project for Beyond Good and Evil 2, when you did this, okay, a lot of people would remix your song, would put additions on to the song. But in the end, you know, people review whether they like it or not. The team at HitRecord will do that, and if they like it, okay, they'll keep it in the project, or they make it a part of the project. But if they don't, forget it. You're not going to be a part of the project. And that happened to a lot of people. Again, I was lucky. It didn't happen to me. But I saw many other people that submitted their songs, their artwork, their voiceovers, and of course, they were not included in the game. So, you know, it is basically a competition, and in my opinion, it's very similar to Spec-Work. Does anybody here think really that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is going to be released? Think about it. You know, maybe, maybe not. Besides the money and besides the things that I talked about, I think more than anything, a lot of us fans, what we just wanted, you know, is for the game to be released, you know? So it's been in developmental hell since, I don't know, for 16 years now, and will it be released anytime soon? That's the question. So let's see what happens after now, this coming week, right? Beyond Good and Evil, the remaster of the original game, will be released. I'm curious to see what happens. Either way, I don't forgive Ubisoft, and I don't forgive HitRecord, because, well, have they really changed? I don't know.